All right, we're doing a special after show because I wanted to talk about Def Leppard Pyromania because it was a special album to me. And then later in the day, John Sykes dies from this band. These two albums.
Yeah, but
Where,
you still not hold up
I
to
don't have
Def
where,
Blue
Leppard.
Murder or the Thin
where,
Lizzy one.
where's Thin Lizzy, Thunder and Lightning?
I
Thank
don't.
you.
I don't.
Thank you.
I was just saying I don't have the Thin Lizzy album.
You don't? Oh my
No,
God.
Well, then
I
you
have
need,
it digitally. I don't have it
then you
physically.
should, then that's what you gotta do. You gotta get it.
I don't have any physical Thin Lizzy either, but I do listen to them on streaming a
Well,
lot.
I got Thin Lizzy, but not the one that
No,
he
no, no.
was
I have
on.
the greatest hits. I have the greatest hits Thin Lizzy CD.
I don't have Thunder and Lightning, which I love, but I don't have it.
Dang.
You
What?
know what's funny about Whitesnake? I remember it was high school, and that video Still the Night came out,
Yep.
and all the chicks were just so in love with David Coverdale and the hot guitar players, Vivian Campbell, Adrian Vandenberg, and this girl actually she was next to me in class. She goes, "Do you like that new band Whitesnake?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, new, yeah,
Yeah,
they're a good new band."
John
Knowing
Sykes
that,
wasn't in the video at all. It was Vivian Campbell.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't
thing is,
Vivian.
is
It was
that
Adrian Vandenberg.
Yeah.
but thing is that at the time that came out, I was 13, so I thought it was a new band.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
I had no
I'm sorry
idea
I
about
wasn't
White
slip of the
Snakes.
tongue at the age of 8.
Yeah. Well, I like Slip of the Tongue. Steve Vai was awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I was
Yeah.
8 years old when that came out, so I didn't know anything about it. And when Whitesnake came out, I thought that was a new band.
It's
hmm
it
here I
sucks
go.
because
Here I go again
the
and
best
Kind Rain or
the best
cover
solo
song.
on that album, which I really thought was Sykes, is actually "Here I Go Again" by Adrian Vandenberg.
Adrian Vandenberg, yeah.
So I was kind of disappointed in that because I think it's one of the best solos ever
yeah,
for a
but what
fucking
about
song.
Crying in the Rain's a great fucking
Yeah, I
song.
mean it's good. But I was
Yeah,
talking about
Crying in the
here.
Rain. And then the following album, Slip of the Tongue, they redid Fool for Your Lovin'.
Right.
Yeah, but he wasn't on it. That was Steve Vai.
Yep.
So but I got these two albums. I don't like the original. Didn't they have another version that John Sykes wasn't
Yeah.
on? The English, yeah, that version sucks. This is my go-to version with John on it. It's
Right.
fucking a great album. After I heard this, I went back and listened to this. I heard
Right.
"Gotta Slide It In Right to the Top."
You,
Like,
you know what
oh,
the
I
be-
love that shit.
you know what the
Oh,
best part is? Listen
What?
to Slide It In and put the headphones on. You could hear his fingers do like a little slide across the strings after it goes banana. Then you hear banana. That sounds so awesome. I'm serious. Put the headphones on, listen to Slide It In. It sounds so cool when he just slides his fingers across the strings. Sounds cool.
I'm just gonna say I did make a video on John Sykes because I didn't know if we were gonna do an after show till Andy said he wanted to do something, and it almost got 500 views a quick minute. And I didn't realize how big this guy was in the rock world. I did not. I've always heard Eddie Trunk saying, "I'm trying to get him to make a new album. I'm trying to get him to make it." Now we know why he wasn't doing anything. The guy had cancer, man,
Hmm.
and he didn't say anything about it. And I didn't realize even all my feed is all John. This is like Eddie Van Halen dying. This is like Eddie Van Halen over again. I've never seen a guitar. I could imagine when Jimmy Page dies, Jerry.
Right.
But
It's
we're not going to
it's
have anything but Jimmy Page news.
although I had a feeling Eddie didn't have much time left, but this is a shock because he had no idea he was even sick.
Yeah, I thought he's. What's your opinion on John, man, Jerry?
He was a great guitar player, man. I loved
this
fucking
is
Blue
the
Murder.
album right here.
Right.
There you go.
That
Very
debut Blue Murder album is fucking fantastic, man. I remember being blown away by Valley of the Kings. What an incredible fucking tune that was, man. And of course, from White
You
Snake,
ahead.
slide it in. And like I said, he did basically everything. I think it was him. I think Dan Huff actually played something off that self-titled album. Oh, he had a whole Ainsley Dunbar was in the all kinds of people I think played on that album if I remember right. But unfortunately he didn't do my favorite solo, which was Here I Go Again. Well, he did the original Here I Go Again, but not the one that's recorded on the album.
He
Yeah,
did the
that
hobo. He did the hobo version.
Yeah, but what an incredible fucking guitar solo it is by Adrian, so I'll give him props. But John deserves credit, man. He's a fabulous fucking guitar player, man. Absolutely, dude.
You
Big
guys
loss
ever
to
hear
music world.
the live Thin Lizzy they did with Sykes singing?
Yeah.
no.
Good. Pretty good.
Yeah. And so, what about you, Andy? What do you think about John?
Yeah. I didn't. Oh well, when Whitesnake came out, I didn't know that they had already been around for a while. So of course, when I found out, I found out everything else about Whitesnake, and I have quite a bit. But John Sykes, he was the sound of Whitesnake. And when I was introduced to the Thin Lizzy album he made, Thunder and Lightning, it sounds like no other.
One Night Only with John Sykes on vocals. They're doing it's a compilation of Thin Lizzy stuff.
Go ahead, Andy.
Interrupt you, Andy. Sorry about
Oh
that.
no, man, that's all right. It's all right. But it's like no other Thin Lizzy album because it's a heavy metal album because of John Sykes' guitar on it. It's completely different from anything that they had done. And then when he went to of course he before that he was in Tigers, Tang Pang, and I heard some stuff afterwards because he wasn't there for that long. It was 80, 81 when he was in there, and I had already, I was a kid, so I had to revisit it, going backwards. So a lot of the stuff that I heard from him, I had to go back to after I found out that he was in that Whitesnake, because I love that Whitesnake '87 album, because that's how I was introduced to him.
Same.
We are all introduced to him differently. I never listened or got into Blue Murder, even though I'm trying to now, because now I've heard a lot about the band after doing podcasts with y'all. I was introduced to the band. I just haven't really sat down and listened to them, but that will change after my long list of other things to listen to. But Blue Murder is on that list. But it's a shocker because we didn't know that he was sick. We knew that he had been out of the public eye for quite some time. And when it came to Eddie, we knew Eddie was sick. We knew Eddie was in and out of remission. And he had been for years. And the same thing with Ronnie James Dio. But with John Sykes, we knew nothing about his illness. And it was a shocker today when you put it out there, Mark. It really was.
Yeah, I texted Dr. Fuck. I go, is this true? Even though it was on his verified page. I thought somebody hacked him. He goes, yes, it's true. And then I posted it. Like, I want to,
Yeah, I was listening to Hair Nation, and they announced it on as I was coming home that he died.
because I don't want to
He was only
post fake
65.
news. Yeah, so it was a shocker. It's like for a guitar player who's made very little music, he's so put up there and like one of the top guitar players of all time. That is
Right.
fucking insane.
Well,
It's
the thing about Sykes for me is there's not a ton of stuff with him on it, but the stuff that's with him on it that's out there is phenomenal.
It's like legendary. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, wow, why isn't this guy working more? But it is what it is. But it's like, Jesus, he didn't have really a bad album, I don't think. It's not like he went, oh man, his skills have deteriorated something fierce, but just never happened.
What about you, Mark?
Just an incredible run of albums, like we've all been saying, like from the Tiger, the Pantang, to Thin Lizzy, to Right the Whitesnake, to Blue Murder. That's like 6 or 7 albums. The only way I could like maybe compare it to is like Ronnie James Dio's run of Rainbow to Black Sabbath to Solo, but he had legendary guitarists with him, Richie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, and you could definitely throw Vivian Campbell in there too. But John Sykes was the songwriter. He was the lead guitar player, and he was the creator. He really David Coverdale, I'm sure, has to take his hat off and thank John Sykes for keeping his career alive, because Whitesnake was doing okay mostly over Europe, but they weren't much of a big seller here in the United States. It's that Whitesnake album '87 that launched Whitesnake here.
Yeah, I haven't heard any comments from David Coverdale yet, have you?
David Coverdale should, but David Coverdale
he won't.
He said some good things about John a couple of years ago, though. So he said, without John, Whitesnake wouldn't have been as huge as they were. So he has said stuff about him. He probably will. Maybe David Coverdale's in shock, like we are. Maybe he's just sitting there trying to figure out the words to say about
No,
him.
I think it's more like Vivian Campbell to Ronnie James Dio.
I don't think it's
They worked great together for a while, and then it was time to go your separate
David
way.
Coverdale has said so many great things about John, though.
Yeah, but
Ronnie
he
really
still
never
wasn't
said
working
anything.
with him.
Ronnie never said anything good about Vivian. There's a big difference there.
Oh, in the beginning, Ronnie did.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
But then
when he was gone, it was like total
when they
shit
were
fest.
making Sacred Heart, it was time for them to split.
Yeah, I'm just so like I didn't know this guy was that big. I'm just in shock. I loved what he did. And it's still the night. It's like one. I don't care if it sounds like a fucking Zeppelin clone. It does not sound like Jimmy Page on that solo. I'm sorry. Just because he uses a bow doesn't mean it's Jimmy Page. He did his own thing on that fucking solo, and it fucking ruled. That's just my opinion on that. I'm tired
I
of
love
people.
it.
I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, it's Led Zeppelin." It's more Led Zeppelin because of Coverdale's vocals,
It's
not
Led
the guitar
Zeppelin.
playing. Not the guitar playing, Jerry. That solo was different than Jimmy ever did.
It's
Come
Led
on.
Zeppelin.
But you got to admit that solo was
There's
different.
nothing wrong with sounding like your influences. So
All right. Well, let's get to an album.
I'm just fucking with you.
Well, fucking tell me the truth then. Come on, tell me, Mr.
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
no, I agree. It does. The only thing that I think sounded like Zeppelin was Coverdale.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I've ever said that sounded like, and the violin though, of course, which
Coverdale,
actually wasn't. Jimmy didn't actually invent the violin on the guitar either. Somebody else invented that. I can't remember who it was.
Coverdale and just the vibe of the song sounded like Zeppelin.
Yeah. But that fucking
No, I mean,
that was not Jimmy. That was fucking all
It
fucking
did,
John.
and the sound of the song kind of maybe was Black Dog, kind of with the silent verses, maybe. Not silent verses, but just him singing. And still in the night, I hear the wolf howl. You're like, hey, mom, instead of the way you move.
I know, but
The
it's
song,
Coverdale, not the guitarring. No, the guitaring was totally
you
separate.
said, I'm talking about the song, not the
Yeah.
guitar play. I agree with you about the guitar playing one. I don't
Yeah.
think it
I
is.
do think it's funny though what Plant said about Coverdale. First he steals my look, then he steals then
My
he steals
guitar
my
player.
guitarist, and then he
Yeah.
steals my sound. Yeah.
Oh, he hated Kingdom Come worse. But
Plants and all, he's a bitter old crusty. He's been bitter and crusty for the last 50 years, I think.
yeah. All right, man. Let's get to an album that kind of started my heavy metal journey here. 1983, today.
Heavy metal.
This was heavy metal back in 83, dude.
Oh, it weren't.
It was
That was
to
hair rock. That's
it,
all it was.
This was not hair rock.
That's hair rock.
This was not hair metal. They did not wear makeup. They weren't Poison.
No, but that was hair rock.
Okay, to a 12-year-old kid, dude, this is my hard rock. It's like what I said in a video today about this. My introduction to rock was Foreigner and the Double Vision and the Beatles, fucking Sgt. Pepper's. Even though the Foreigner was kind of hard rock, this was metal. This was my metal with the heart rise up, gather up, fucking swords and shit in the videos. It's like they had
cheesy
heavy metal,
video,
but they had heavy metal imagery. All heavy metal videos were cheesy.
The only ones were worse were the Dio videos. Like Andy points out, he's on top of the roof next to an AC unit.
Yeah, those are stupid.
But I'm just saying, you got this guy screaming "Rock of Ages." I'm just saying, this album and Quiet Riot's Mental Health. Without those two albums, there wouldn't be what we had in the 80s. There would be no Poison. There'd be nothing like that. There'd be no fucking Kiss.
I could only wish.
Whether you call them metal or not, they're definitely a gateway to metal.
This is my gateway. Because of this album, I started listening to Kill 'Em All by freaking Metallica. If I didn't have this album, I would not have ventured into harder rock or Motley Crue Shout at the Devil. This is what got me into, hey, let me check out this Motley Crue band. Let me check out this. It's a gateway drug. Yeah.
And also, Def Leppard was part of the new wave of British heavy metal.
Yes, even though they declined to say they weren't.
Well, but we know that they were maybe not heavy metal, but they were definitely hard rock at that time.
So, Jerry, what's your influence by this album?
Oh man, I mean, growing up in the MTV age, man, this was definitely a big part of how I got into this album. I mean, I think all of us can agree with that are, our age. I would say, I mean, Full and Rock of Ages, Photograph, that was, and, even the High and Dry stuff, Bringing on the Heartbreak, Me and My Wine, all those are all constant rotation on MTV. And, just listen to those songs. I bought the album and listened to the deep tracks, man, and just fell in love with this album, dude. Foolin' has always been my favorite Def Leppard song. It still is one of my favorite songs of all time. Just always loved that song. I mean, Rock of Ages, Photograph, great rock and roll, great MTV rock songs, man, and for that time period, man. So that's how I got into this Def Leppard.
They weren't that pretty either. They weren't that
Yeah.
pretty. They were kind of average looking rock stars. They're kind of like Aerosmith looking to me. They weren't pretty. They didn't wear makeup. It's like because
They did get prettier.
Well, they did because of this album.
Of course they did.
I went and checked out High and Dry and the other albums, man, because I want to hear, there's an album before that. I remember getting my grandpa to buy me High and Dry at Jimco on cassette. I was like, I got this. I want to hear fucking this album. I remember Bringing on the Heartbreak, and I hear Saturday Night High and Dry. I go, this is fucking rock and roll, man. This is fuck yeah. Love this shit. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, when I started listening to Def Leppard was because of Pyromania and the videos. I wanted to go buy a Great Britain flag T-shirt.
Me too.
Yeah. I had one actually.
Did
Cut
you
off,
really?
You didn't get the shorts?
No, didn't get the shorts. But I did wear those shorts. That was a style back then.
Yeah.
Those real short shorts, the basketball shorts, that they used to wear.
and then Richard Simmons had to kill it. But no, man, I really love this album. I remember, of course, I found the vinyl later, but I did have the cassette very early in my life, and I still have that cassette copy. It's just a great album, and at the time it came out in 83 or 84. 83, right?
83.
83. I was 8 years old watching MTV, loving the videos that they were coming out with. And then when I bought the cassette, this is one of the albums that I first started hearing an album from beginning to end. And I was like 8 or 9, hearing a whole album from beginning to end. I wasn't just rewinding and fast forwarding to the song or the videos. I was listening to the whole thing at that age. So that kind of led to me loving listening to albums. So yeah, this is a very important album to me. Very important.
Yeah, I remember going to restaurants where they had like Pizza Huts and stuff like that and playing all these songs on the jukebox, man. Yeah. White Castles when they had jukeboxes for each table. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was everywhere, and it's, it was a part of my what do you call it? Introduction. It took my path to rock and metal and all that.
Musical education right there.
Exactly.
I bet without them, you wanted to like Metal Church.
I guess you'd call it maybe a seed,
it's our gateway album.
Those albums.
Gateway albums.
I
know Motley Crue Shout at the Devil came out the same year, but if I didn't hear this album first, I would have gave that album a shot.
I would throw Shout at the Devil on that. Shout at the Devil, this one, Quiet Riot, definitely those three were huge, man.
But what I say about Quiet Riot, this album top to bottom is perfect. Quiet Riot's album is like
it's spotty. Yeah.
Spotty.
It is.
I remember the first time I ever heard Def Leppard. I went to a house party. A friend of mine's girlfriend had a house party, and we went. And I think I was 16, and this On Through the Night had just come out, and I was, and the girl's name was Terry, my buddy's boyfriend or girlfriend, and she was like, "Have you heard this?" And I was like, "Heard it? I've never even seen it." And she said, "Yeah, a new band from Britain," and I went, "Never heard of them." So she put it on, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty good. This is really good, actually." And then
this is a good album, yeah.
And then I heard,
very good,
the next one, and it was like, "Wow, these guys are good."
Yeah.
Then Pyromania came out, and I was like, "What the fuck happened?" because I mean the first two albums were raw. They were a lot of energy, a lot of energy, and Pyromania just seemed like polished.
No, I don't think they got polished. Hysteria was polished in my opinion.
Well, Hysteria was overly polished.
It's called a drummer losing his arm.
No, there was a
Pyromania
reason
like you could
for
tell
that.
they actually went into a studio and actually had a real producer. You know,
Oh, John Lang, come on. You can't call Mutt Lang not a good producer.
Mutt Lang.
no, it's a
Highway to
real
Hell.
producer.
Yeah.
You know, they had a real producer on it. You
yeah.
could tell it showed, or you heard it.
It was success.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was also, you know, them wanting to get better, and I understand that. I understand all that, believe me. And you know, I heard "Photograph" off of that, the first single, which, by the way, was co-written by Pete Willis.
Hold on, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And I was like,
I'll be right back.
It sounds like any other thing on the radio right now.
It's snowing outside, and Houston doesn't get snow, so I'll be right back.
Okay. You gonna go put your tongue out?
No, of course not.
You're not gonna catch the snow.
New Hampshire gets plenty of snow.
I'm gonna stand in the middle with my mouth wide open. Ah!
Are you gonna do circles?
I'll be right back.
All right.
Because my family's out there.
I wouldn't fucking drink anything that comes from the skies nowadays, man.
Well,
Fuck.
especially in Houston, there's probably oil in there.
Acid rain, shit. Fuck that.
Yeah, but Tim, what do you really think about Pyromania, though? You know you like that album. Come on.
Pyromania was their last good album, as far as I'm concerned.
What about
And
you?
I agree.
What about you, Mark? I disagree with all of you on that one. What do you think about it, Mark?
Well, I have something to say. It's better to burn out than fade away.
Yeah.
A little shout out to Roger Daltrey right there, my generation, you know. But I should have said fade away, you know. No, great album. Pyromania was awesome. You guys pretty much hit all the talking points there. But Def Leppard was on such a roll there. It was like the three main videos. I forget the order though. Rock of Ages, Photograph, and Boon. But then Def Leppard was smart. I don't know whose idea this was, but to keep the momentum going, what did they do? They brought back Bringing On the Heartbreak. They did a little remix. You know, It's up to you if you like the synthesizer addition to it. But that was a great idea because it kept the band in the spotlight. That video got a lot of heavy rotation too. But unfortunately, all the momentum ended because, as you all know, what happened to Rick Allen's the car accident and all of that, and that totally changed the band completely. You know, they really had to record Hysteria a certain way because you got a drummer with a handicap. You know, he's got one arm. You know, so there's not. You really got pretty much Hysteria. I think pretty much every song was almost like the same tempo too, or it was a little bit slower. Yeah, so they had to take it slow for poor Rick Allen, and you know. So, but it was kudos to Def Leppard for keeping it on the band.
Oh yeah,
I agree with you on that one. Keeping them, I always appreciate it, but man, too fucking polished, man. It was just too. I don't know, man. Just never. There was no rawness. It just sounded like today's auto-tune shit. It just did not sound good.
Oh God, no!
Rock and roll isn't about being polished. Rock and roll is about rawness.
Rock and roll, it's a fucking rock. Like you fucking talk about that Manowar shit, dude. Fucking, we used to cruise fucking Sunset Boulevard, fucking with my 12-inch woofers playing "Pour Some Sugar on Me," and the bitches and the women would come up to the side of the car and go, "Woo!" and take off their shirt to us, man.
Well, Manowar plays louder than crap. So when you talk about speakers, you know, don't go messing with Manowar. You know, they play at 11, man.
Manowar plays it fucking gay.
And that's
you just want
coming from the Oingo Boingo guy.
And that's
nothing wrong with
90% of Def Leppard's audience are bitches.
I didn't call them that. I almost did.
They're a bitch band.
No, they're not. I've been to the shows. I've been to the shows.
Been a bitch band since what? 85, 87?
Dude, I've been to the shows. There's like more men than women there.
He notices
Oh,
that.
I don't know about that. I think there's more women at the
No.
Def
Yeah, because
Leppard.
I like the
Joe.
cock,
No.
right? I like the
Joe,
cock. I guess.
Joe Elliott even admitted he didn't mind because the crowd was getting better looking. He even
Oh
said
yeah.
that. So.
When they did in the round, they were down there doing groupies, right?
Yeah, it goes.
That was a hell of a concert, though. I went to that. I saw that.
Tesla opened up.
It was a hell of a
Honestly, I thought
concert.
I like Tesla better than Def Leppard because
Oh, Tesla was
they
amazing.
they were so full of energy that night. They really had something to prove.
Tesla's way better than Motley Crue, by the way. But like, I'm just saying,
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Sure.
without this album, Upside Down,
Right.
without this album, I don't think I would have liked any kind of metal. I wouldn't have liked Motley Crue. I would have liked Metallica.
Well, that's your
They
loss.
they gave me they gave me those hard solos that just ripped. It was. I know people give shit on Phil Collin. He just came in and did the good stuff because I think Pete Willis already laid down all his rhythm tracks when he came in to do this. He didn't even know he was in the band until they said, "Hey, you're in the band," But he did some ripping solos, and Steve Clark was just a rhythm guitar player. He's like Malcolm in AC/DC. He did some solos here and there, but I like Phil Collin. I love him. He plays some tasty leads. I don't care what you motherfuckers say. I like him. I think they should give Vivian Campbell more solos though. But that's just me.
But
Why? He gets paid for doing something really easy. Why?
I'm not too familiar with the Pete Willis situation. Did he really have to go? Was he like a
He was a big
stumbling drunk?
He
wasn't showing up for.
He was a big drunk. Steve Clark died from alcohol poisoning.
Okay, but
Hello.
but Steve Clark was showing up for the sessions.
Steve Clark was functional. Yeah,
He was functional. Pete Willis was blowing them off.
Mutt Lange didn't like Pete Willis's playing. Therefore, Pete Willis had to go.
Pete
Well,
Willis
there you
wasn't
go.
showing up for the recording sessions. Steve Clark was. That's the difference.
What difference does it make if you show up and you can't do a fucking thing?
Oh,
What difference does it make?
Or Willis couldn't do anything.
I can't do anything today. I'm taking it off.
All right.
come on,
Mutt
Steve,
Lange
give it
did
to
not
me.
like Pete Willis. Therefore, Pete Willis had to go.
I love Pete Willis, man. He's a munchkin.
And
the guy can play. The guy can play.
That's the day Def Leppard died, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Pete Willis has given Def Leppard a lot of credit for giving him songwriting credit on Pyromania because it took him.
They had to, because he'd have sued him if they didn't. So
no, not what I heard from Pete Willis. They didn't have to.
Maybe Def Leppard should have hired John Sykes, right?
But what did Pete Willis do after?
Or
Def
Danny
Leppard?
Elfman?
Actually, he went to another band.
What? Yeah, what band?
I forget the name of it. There's a video on YouTube with him.
Yeah, he did one band.
I posted it on your page.
Yeah, I think he did have a band. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything. Didn't he become a school teacher or something?
I don't
know what the hell he did. Doesn't matter.
But he thanks Def Leppard for saving his life, though, because he would have been dead like Steve Clark.
No, he thanks Def Leppard for firing him for saving his life.
Yes, he does.
Because he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic. I know the feeling.
Yeah, man. So I have nothing good to say about this album.
Nothing good to say.
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad to say about this album.
Hey, you're in my
This album fucking sucks.
But believe it or not, the PMRC went after the album cover
just for the album cover.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The PMRC went after Frank Zappa for an instrumental track. Why?
I think they didn't like the Born Again Black Sabbath record either. The
that
baby.
That was a cool ass cover.
Yeah.
But man, let's just go around the table. What does Pyromania mean to you, Jerry?
I already told you.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Fuck it.
It's a gateway.
Well, close it out. Close it out.
Yeah, I'm absolute. I will venture to say that at least the majority of the people in our community have this album, whether it's CD or on vinyl. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Everybody, thrash metal fans, pop metal fans, hair metal bands, they all have this album or know it really well. Let's just say so.
Rock fans.
It's definitely, it goes what's the more? It's trans. It goes not just one genre. I think it's
Transcends.
There
Transcend.
you go.
transcends. There you go. Thank you
We
very
got
much.
Taylor Swift who loves them too. So.
Exactly. I mean,
Oh, that's that. Yeah, there's.
and to say, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a masterpiece of an album from a masterpiece producer who took, they weren't exactly the best musicians in the world. They were good, but they made him sound. Mutt Lange made them sound great. Because if you look at the production between Hello America, or not Hello America, but On Through the Night, excuse me, the songs on that were very
murky.
Not just I'm talking about the sound, the writing style of it was very, I don't know, Magoo. What's the word I'm looking for?
That whole album was
No,
muddled.
but there were great songs. But
Oh yeah,
and Rick Savage was a monster on that album actually on his bass. But I don't know, it's just that the songs became more oomph when Mutt Lange took over and did Pyromania.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion. I love On Through the Night. It's a great album, but I mean, High and Dry and Pyromania are definitely the two albums that mean more to me because they were just, like I said, MTV, and I don't know, what else should I say?
Well, to me, it's just not MTV. It's just, to me, I went back and listened to this album. I listen to this album maybe once a month or more. I go back to this album so fucking much. This and High and Dry. It's like one of an album. This album is in my DNA. We have never reviewed this on Freeform Rock Podcast. It's just so in my DNA. I don't even need to listen to it to take notes. I could just talk about it because this is one of my top 10 albums in my DNA. I could go to Rush Moving Pictures, Rush Signals, this album, fucking Black Sabbath, the two Dio albums. I could just talk about them without taking notes. It's one of those albums that Duran, Rio, Duran, self-titled. I could just Oingo Boingo, Dead Man's Party. I could just talk about them without even listening to them.
Right. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. We all have albums like that.
Yeah. Sure. It's just like it's
Back in Black
in my DNA. What about you, Tim? Wrap up this album, man.
This album, Pyromania, I agree. It's a gateway album for a lot of people. It's a good album. There's some good songs on there. There's some pop trash on there too, but there's some good songs on there. But if you listen to the album compared to the other two, where they were coming from, you could tell the direction they were going in. And that was commercialism. And hey, that's what bands want to do, is become commercial. They want to become successful.
Everybody does.
Yeah. But, there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. I mean, Motorhead never became commercial. They went in a commercial vein for a while, but then they went back to being Motorhead.
Right.
Def Leppard never did. Def Leppard just kept going in that commercial vein.
Lemmy did try to do a movie. I mean, so.
But, whatever. I'm just using them as an example. It's a good album. It's an album from my youth. I remember 83. I was a junior in high school. And I remember all the girls walking around with the Def Leppard tour shirt, quote unquote, the 3/4-inch tour shirt, black with white stripes. And it had the album cover on it. And everybody had that tour shirt in my school. Everybody. Whether you went to see them on tour or not, you had that tour shirt. It's their album that broke them. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Well, there's not a dud on this album, man.
No.
Stage Fright. Holy shit, that's a great tune.
That's what they opened up the Hysteria tour with, dude, with the curtain, and it fell. It went, yep. I said, welcome to my show. Just you and me, babe. We had the whole damn, and the drums go, and the curtain falls, house lights come on. God, that is still burned in my memory from that Hysteria opening track, dude. It's just so fucking amazing. Mark, wrap up this album, man.
And Coming Under Fire was a good track.
Coming Under Fire, yeah.
They just brought that back.
tracks.
They brought that song
Oh,
back.
Billy's Got a Gun. That's a good track.
Billy's Got a Gun. Yeah,
Too Late for
it's just
Love.
When you drop,
there's not
Die
one
Hard, The
weak track on
Hunter.
the
I
album.
mean,
Action, Not Words.
it's a great album.
Like I said, not one weak track on the album.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually bothered me about Def Leppard back in the day was this is another thing to look at. Every video that it was fooling Rock of Ages and Bringing the Heartbreak. So 3 videos, they would tie up Joe Elliott. It was like, oh my God, here we go again. Joe Elliott's, he's tied up again, you know. It had something with bondage back then, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So
Yeah.
But yeah, great album. And just want to close it out. Happy birthdays to Ian Hill, Judas Priest. That's his birthday today. Paul Stanley, that's his birthday today too. And I think that's about it, you know.
Hey, I did post him on the Freeform Rock podcast. I'm posting a lot of stuff, and I'm not talking shit. I'm just posting stuff for you guys, you know.
You're trying to stir the pot in the Rock and Metal Combat podcast page.
What did I do there?
You post something in Freeform, and then the Starship makes its way over to.
The thing is,
I always stirs the shit.
I explained because I was getting a lot of good vibes from the Freeform posting.
Never find another girl like you.
But the thing is, I posted the Starship there because I wanted to see if the metalheads like Starship also, and they didn't. So I got my answer. Andy, wrap up Pyromania, man.
Oh yeah, you know what? If you look real closer, to a band does say guitar backing tracks on all songs, Pete Willis. Geez, what else can we say about this album? It's a classic album. It should be in every rock fan's collection. We just went, we were throwing out song titles, and those were all deep tracks that we know by heart. That's the making of a great album. Like Mark had named off certain albums that you could just talk about from beginning to end, song by song. We can give little summaries for each song. This is one of those albums that we can do that to. So and like you, Mike, maybe not every month, but I do listen to this quite a bit. And in fact, I streamed it today at work after we talking about. I wanted to hear it, and still you hear it. Go, man, this is just so good. Even though you've heard it at least 100 times, it's still good. It still sounds fresh. It doesn't sound dated at all. But Hysteria does sound dated, but this does not. And I know that we're talking about the previous 2 albums where they were more raw. I think this album, Pyromania, is where they got it right. I think those 2 previous albums were leading to this sound. This is what they were trying to get to, and I think that they got it right.
This is their Sgt. Pepper's, man. Even though people say Hysteria is their Sgt. Pepper's, this is what started it. You know,
I'd be embarrassed if somebody.
I think Hysteria is their White Album.
I think Hysteria is their not even close to any Beatles album.
There you go.
I love Hysteria, man. Sorry,
I like half of it.
I love the whole thing. Maybe excitable, maybe.
Oh.
But this album, if you listen to it in your car, it's even if you don't have the remastered or the remixed version, it still sounds amazing. Yeah. The sound quality is just so fucking recorded in 1983. Listen to other albums from 1983. Shout at the Devil does not sound as good.
No,
I'm just saying it doesn't. The sound quality, the drums, everything is just perfect recorded on Pyromania.
But then, like Tim said, sometimes a little bit too perfect for a rock band.
Yeah.
Well, that was Mutt Lange. That was Mutt Lange's style,
right,
though.
Exactly.
Everything had to be perfect.
But then Shout at the Devil sounded a little gritty, a little bit more dangerous, when this sounded a little bit too calculated at times.
Shout at the Devil compared to Pyromania. Pyromania. Jesus, I wish I could talk.
Yeah, Pyromania.
Sounds like you walked into a club and there's a band on stage, and that's Shout at the Devil.
I love Shout at the Devil, but
Yeah, me too.
I think they should do it. It does still sound good, the recording, because there's a lot of albums from 1980. Like Dio Holy Diver is not recorded very well. And it's a great album, you know, but it doesn't have that oomph. Especially Last in Line went down a lot, degraded on the sound quality on that album. And that's a great album. But the thing is, it wasn't produced well. That's just what I think about those two albums. But you listen to Shout at the Devil, you listen to Pyromania, there's better production compared to those two Dio albums to me. Because I had to turn the shit up
Totally
on fucking
disagree.
Holy Diver. I had to turn the volume up on Holy Diver a
The
lot.
volume.
Well, I do.
Volume. You know,
I do anyway.
I do
Turn
too,
the
but
volume up.
I could turn this up a lot less than Holy Diver.
If it's too loud, you're too old.
Yeah. All right, guys, man. Let's just say rest in peace, John Sykes.
Yep.
And thank you, Def Leppard, for a masterpiece of Pyromania, man.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, guys, before we go?
Fuck you for Diamond Star Halos.
I love that album. All right, guys.
Def Leppard liked that album themselves.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Later.
Bye, guys.
Peace.